Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much for kind words indeed. We started 1 year ago, but I remember actually the first email exchange we had, actually, you and I, was the 1st of April 2013. April, which is a nice day, actually, makes it interesting, but it was not a joke. So actually we started working together, and actually I think we achieved a lot. There's a lot that we can learn and we can improve, I'm sure. But I think what is great, I think that we are still today here, we were here yesterday, because we have something in common, which is much more important than what actually divides us, anyone here. Regardless of different anything we may have, we all share the idea that Europe has something important to give. To us, as Europeans, to the rest of the world, who look at us also, especially now, in these years of Trumpism and fake news and authoritarianism, they look at Europe as actually an opportunity, a model possibly, standing for our values. So I think it's very important that we stand up for this kind of Europe, for this kind of values. Because actually fighting for democracy, fighting for transparency, is something you have to do every day. Rights, opportunities, freedoms, is something that is not given for granted. It takes one election, one single election to actually lose all your rights. One referendum, and we have our friends from the UK that actually lost or are losing lots of rights, the freedom to move, the freedom to study elsewhere in Europe, just because there were fake news propagated by one part of the society. And that's a Brexit. And that's why we are here, because we want to stand up for our principle, for our values, for our future. So that's why actually we work in cities. You know, the problem Europe has, we do many things at European level, many good things, but the people don't feel owners of this project. They don't feel how they're actually benefiting. Of course, they see many products from Italy, good ham, good cheese for France, but they don't realize that actually all these things are actually a part of what Europe also is bringing about. So the problem is the ownership of the European project, the ownership and the participation in the European project. So that's why when we merged last year with the three movements, we said, we must change things. We must work at the local level. We must be where people are. We cannot be just in the bubble in Brussels or in the capital cities. And that's actually the result. So this is you. The movement, guys, is you. We are just facilitating you. The board is elected to facilitate you being able to show to your colleagues, your families, your neighbors that Europe matters. And Europe is us. Europe is part of us, our identity. You can say sometimes we give more visibility to it, but it's part of us. And so here you see, for instance, the first picture here is a building demonstration done by our colleagues, Lorien and all the friends, and it's about participation to the Pride event. So again, showing that Europe can be part of respecting principle, values, and being out there where people are. Not just going to a conference, but be out there where people are. Then we have here, today we discussed and yesterday about the proposal for a better Europe. And this was a process of discussing with you, discussing what actually Europe is for you and what vision we have for Europe. Our politicians often, we don't see their vision for the future. We see, okay, why these politicians are not ambitious enough? Well, we are ambitious. Today we discussed ambitious proposals. Future for education, foreign policies. And this was discussion, look at the people so smiling, so happy. People from both lists, people that were there. You see this picture, all the time you have myself, Balit, and Elaine. So we are actually a team on the ground. So we should not divide ourselves when we actually work for our convention. Then you see here, that was our participation in Rome. So I see again our team together, all of us together on the ground, because we are standing for our values. First of all, for our values, for our principles. And we're there in Rome with many people from both lists, so amazing moment. You see here in Aix-en-Provence, Marseille, with colleagues from the board. You see here London, firing. So really on the ground. You see, I love this picture with Fernanda going around with her team in Tiago, going in the streets of Lisbon, and meeting people who are actually, sitting on the street and talk to them about what is Europe, what they think about things. That is actually going out of the bubble of those really thinking like us. Of course, we have to, be together, share good experiences, but then we have to go out of our comfort zone. And then, just another slide here. So fantastic initiative we had in Budapest, for instance, the Secrets Festival. Again, you know, the problem that Europe doesn't talk to the people, and to the young people especially. So what's the best than actually going to the biggest European festival and show that actually we can talk about Europe in a funny way. And then you see basically all of us with masks of different European politicians, a great idea by Anita and the team. And basically we went going around and talking about Europe and what Europe actually can be part of our daily life in a music festival. And there was our flags going around during the concerts, and people coming to us and say, wow, good that you have a flag. We were the only one, a big flag, but so many people were coming to us with a very positive spirit. So showing that, of course, they don't have the European flag usually at home because you don't have a European football team that would play against England or Italy, but when they see it, they recognize it. So guys, the identity, European identity is there, we have to nurture it. And then again, further activities, I want to mention them all, participation, Pulse of Europe, a meeting in Paris, a meeting in Milan, again Rome. So guys, to say, this is you. This movement is you. You can make it flourish. We can just facilitate what you do. So again, thanks a lot, everybody. And I'm sorry for the event yesterday. I'm disappointed because we couldn't have enough time to talk with you. That's that for me my biggest regret. But today we participated together. And yesterday, I think together we found a solution that allowed us to have a fair and transparent, and we are confident that the process that was set up, thanks to all the parts, will make it a good election together next time. So again, thank you very much.